I actually don't know how this matchup is going to work out at all. I don't think I've ever had a case where an actual... I think I can call this an artifact deck.
Yeah.
It plays a wide variety of artifacts. I don't think I've ever seen it play against Infernity. No. We saw Bujins earlier, and it didn't go so well for Bujins.
Well, it depends. If we look at the North American WCQ, obviously all 4 of the finalists were hat. Now, they must have gone against Infernity at some point.
Well, they had. So. And they had knocked Sehabi Kheireddine out earlier. He had to win the World's qualification match after losing in the quarterfinals to get in.
Yeah. So, it's possible that it could happen again.
I think a big key in this match is going to be Artifact Ignition. He has 3 copies of Artifact Ignition along with a pair of double Cyclones, and that gives him a lot of ways to get rid of some of those Infernity barriers and Infernity breaks before he starts to make his plays. And, of course, he's got Malevolent Catastrophe in his deck as well. So what could be perceived as a weak opening for Hiyama by Sahabi could turn into a complete blowout if he attacks into Malevolent Catastrophe and triggers a lot of artifact effects. Sahabi doesn't want to do anything like that without protection in the form of Infernity Barrier or Infernity Break. But he may not have a choice if things start to go quickly in Shunsuke Hiyama's favor.
Yes, definitely.
Abyss Dweller is a card that has some applications in this matchup. The artifact monsters, their effect to special summon themselves from the graveyard does start a chain, and it does activate in the graveyard. So it's possible that with the help of Abyss Dweller, Sahabi could force Hiyama into a situation where he would have to use Big Altak, and then would possibly even just leave his artifacts in the spell and trap card zone to just put up a defender. It's a bad situation. Hiyama does not want to see it, but it's entirely possible. On Hiyama's side, he wants to see his Trap Tricks and Myrmeleos as early as humanly possible, and preferably go first with them, so that he can search out one of his trap holes. He's got Bottomless Trap Hole and Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare.
Now, what exactly, if you don't mind me asking, is the full effect of Spiritualism?
Full effect of Spiritualism? Well, one of the great things about it is that if you sign it in this particular matchup, and you can get a read on where the artifact Sanctum is in their back row, because Shunsuke's going to have a lot more artifacts than usual. If you can find out where that Sanctum is, and your opponent does not activate it immediately, that's, as soon as you start your turn, because you may be fearing Spiritualism. If he doesn't know Spiritualism is coming, there's a chance it can knock Sanctum back to his hand before he can play it, and then Sahabi can go on and do his combos uninterrupted and not have to worry about Big Altak putting a giant army of level 5 monsters in his way.
And even if he doesn't hit that and hit Artifact.
That's also true. In that case, the Sanctum plans would have to change. But I actually really do like Spiritualism in this matchup, even if it's just knocking Bottomless Trap Hole back to the hand so that Sahabi can continue his plays.
So it's definitely going to be, hopefully it's sided in. I've not actually seen Spiritualism played.
We have not seen it played yet. I'm not certain whether or not any of our Infernity duels have played it so far, but it's been showing up in a lot of side decks. For as many side decks as it's been seen in, you'd think it would be making more of an impact.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that the matches we look into are just one small part of the entire tournament. There were 23 competitors, or 22 competitors actually, in the All Ages event at the World Championship. That's 11 different matches every round. And we can only take a look at one. So perhaps Spiritualism is putting in a lot of work elsewhere while we weren't watching.
It is possible.
Hopefully, if it's going to make an impact, it would make an impact now in the finals when everybody can see it. Still going over the ground rules, so let's take a look at the special summon lineup on Sahabi's side of the field. So Sahabi was basically the first person we saw using Dinotherium in major competition, and it did wonders for him at the North American WCQ. Got him all the way to the top 8, where he unfortunately lost, but he was able to win his World's qualification matchup, and that is why he is here today. At the North American WCQ, there are 6 duelists, and as it is combined with Canada. And the top 4, obviously, after the top 8 round is finished, the winners from each of that go on, and then the remainder play off once again, much like the 3rd, 4th playoffs that you watched earlier. And the winners of those matches receive an invitation to the World Championship. So that's how Sahabi's here, and now he's in position to win it all.
Yeah.
So is Shunsuke Hiyama from Japan, though. Not as good of a performance last year from the Japan team as it was this time around. Jin and Wang took the title last time against David Keener from the United States. And that was a rather interesting match of Dragon Rulers versus Prophecy.
Right.
It was interesting because the field in that tournament was basically 75% Dragon Rulers, 25% Prophecy. And we got that exact representation in the top 8 of the event. 75% Dragon Rulers, 25% Prophecy. And I believe even the Dragon Duel is much the same. This time around, it's been a much more varied field. We've seen a lot of different matchups so far.
Yeah, there's been a lot of diversity. I'm pretty sure, or at least I hope, there is on the written coverage. If you want to go and check that out, there's all of the standings, there'll be some deck meta breakdowns, and a lot of photos from the event as well.
I think it's highly likely. PJ does love himself a pie chart.
He does.
And you can all enjoy it as well over on the event coverage page. You can get there at Yugioh-card.com. Is it /UK?
Yes.
/UK can get you there.
Although if you do just go to Yugioh-card.com, you will be able to find your way to the UK page.
You can get anywhere you want.
Or if you're watching this on Yugioh-card.com, there is a link above us.
So in case you're just tuning in, well, you've picked the right time to do so. This is it, the last match of the tournament. And you can see our screen layout down below. You'll see some red dots next to the word wins for both players underneath their names. Those dots will light up as the players win their matches. It's kind of like penalty kicks if you're watching the World Cup. As each game is won, game 1, game 2, game 3, the appropriate light will light up in green. So if the first one was lit under Shunsuke's name and the second one under Sahabi's, the match would be at 1-1, with Shunsuke winning the first duel and Sahabi winning the second duel.
So it is not best of 5.
It is only best of 3. Remember, of course, that all of the new rules that were introduced in Superstarter Space-Time Showdown are in effect here. The duelist who goes first will not draw during his draw phase, and multiple field spells can be activated, one on each side of the field. The only person that applies to in this case is Sahabi, who's running the Archfiend Labyrinth that we've seen earlier in the day. First turn is very crucial for setting up if you are an Infernity deck. It is entirely possible that with a strong enough hand, Sahabi could lock Shunsuke completely out of the duel. We haven't seen a whole lot of that, though. It's usually taken a couple turns for the Infernity players to set up, and kind of gives you the impression that maybe Infernity wasn't as much of a dominant force as you would have thought for this tournament. I mean, I certainly thought that we'd see a lot of it, and it wasn't quite as much as expected. It's a bit less than the third. I believe Jason said 5 or 6 copies.
There's 5 copies of the deck. I mean, as we said earlier, though, it's because everybody thought that everybody else was probably going to be playing Infernity.
It was overrepresented in the top 8, though. Despite the fact that only 5 people played it, 3 of them made it to the top 8 of the All Ages World Championship. So it's an excellent showing for Infernity, and excellent showing for Yugioh as well. They took a couple spots, along with the Trap Tricks artifact deck that we're about to see. Bujin, Gadgets. It was great.
To see Gadgets in the top 8 again.
And that's really a great story because Roger Vera, that's how he qualified for this.
Yeah.
And the fact that he stuck with that deck and found a way to refine it to make it even better for this event is really fantastic. It just goes to show that if you have a deck that you are well familiar with, you love it, it's your favorite deck, you can go places with it, even if it is as old as Gadgets. Final cuts are taking place.
This is your deck.
And very soon we will be ready to roll. That's, if you're a player in this is probably the worst part because you really just want to get to it.
Yeah.
But you still got to have everything taken care of first. Looking good for Shunsuke. He's won the die roll and is going first.
Shuffle has.
5 cards to start. Will not draw during his draw phase for the first turn. He's received his deck back.
Please, who's going first? Okay. So please draw your opening hands.
Shunsuke is going first, and we're about to draw opening hands. Everything is in order, it appears.
Here we go.
And we are starting. One, two, three, four, five for each.
You have 1 hour to start.
1 hour is allotted for this match. At the end of 1 hour, if we still don't have a winner, we'll go into extra turns. And if we don't have a winner after that, we'll continue in sudden death until there is one. Skype is starting off with DD Crow. Very valuable to have. He's got 2 copies in his main deck. He's opened with 1. Dianaya, not quite useful yet. Effect Veiler, very handy.
Yeah, it looks like
all in all, not a lot of action here.
The opening move is probably going to be card D, which is a good opening move on for your first turn,
especially when you've got DD Crow and Effect Veiler in your hand as well. 1 card face down, summons card D and tributes it to draw 2 cards, picking up Double Cyclone, and it looks like the second Dianaya. Infernity, Archfiend, Dinotherium, Soul Charge, Archfiend, Eris, Foolish, Burial, and now Stygian Street Patrol. Working with the extra card is Sehabi Kheireddine, and he special summons Dinotherium. Can't special summon card, so Dinotherium's downside does not come into play. Stygian Street Patrol is up next. The question is, do you attack first or start comboing? The answer is attack first. I like to play. Get as much damage in as you can while your opponent's hand appears weak. You can always steal a game with Gaga Cowboy later.
That's quite a nice bit of damage there as well. 3,200, I believe, yes.
2 hits from 2 1,600 attack monsters. And that is it for Sahabi's turn. Shunsuke has picked up Traptrix Myrmileo,
which will be helpful later on,
especially because he has both copies of Dianaya. At this point, he can summon her to get a trap hole, likely bottomless trap hole.
There is a double cyclone in there as well.
And he also has the ability to trade her off with one of Sahabi's monsters and get her in the graveyard for later. Probably not going to do it, though, because if he leaves himself open with nothing but a single trap card, simply drawing 1 Mystical Space Typhoon can put the game right back in Sahabi's favor and possibly end it. Be very, very careful when you're dueling against Infernity, especially because this is such a non-standard opening.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in this particular tournament.
No.
Stygian Street Patrol on the field, except sometime other than the end of the game. Dinotherium sticking around. But you have to bring everything you've got if you want to win the World Championship.
That's why Sahabi's sitting up here. And all the other Infernity players we've seen not playing like this.
And
in that seat.
Shunsuke is bringing it as well. He's bringing Bottomless Trap Hole to his hand with Traptrix Myrmileo. Still with a DD Crow and an Effect Veiler in hand. But so far, Sahabi hasn't done anything that would make those cards useful to him. He does decide to trade off the Traptrix, and now counts on his spell and trap cards to keep Sahabi honest. And right now, Sahabi's very seriously considering just throwing down Eris and attacking for more damage while he gets the chance. Eris, too small to be hit by Bottomless Trap Hole.
That's why I love having just some little monsters.
Yep.
Because everybody plays Bottomless Trap Hole.
And most of them see it, well, more of them see it on the first turn than ever, thanks to the Traptrix monsters. And that's what he's going to do. Archfiend Eris is next.
As you're checking there, the effect of Archfiend Eris, I'll show you all.
1,000 attack. This would be 2,600 more damage, giving Shunsuke 1 turn left to do something.
Just checking how many cards he has in hand there.
It is 4. Archfiend Eris attacks directly, followed by Stygian Street Patrol. But you get the feeling that if Shunsuke can just get through this next turn and resolve his first Dianaya play, that he's actually going to be in a pretty good position despite being so far down on life points. Smart move, though, not setting any of your face-down cards. You don't want to leave yourself open to Traptrix Myrmileo. Or Double Cyclone. Not only would you lose a spell and trap card, they'd also get an Xyz Summon. Myrmileo's a lot less scary when she's just making rank 4s. Archfiend Eris, let's go ahead and bring it up as it is the subject of question right now. Sent to the graveyard because of card effect or destroyed by battle. Grab any Archfiend card from your deck, except another copy of her. Doesn't really come to play because you only really use one copy outside of a dedicated Archfiend deck. Though I suppose some people would argue that Infernity is a dedicated Archfiend deck, just dedicated to Infernity Archfiend.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting decks that we saw back in North American WCQ was a Berserk Dragon deck that used multiple copies of Archfiend Emperor, First Lord of Horror, which, if sent to the graveyard, even by its own effect, it fulfills the condition for a Deal with Dark Ruler, card you need to play with Berserk Dragon. It's a very cool deck. I need to remember to dig up that deck list sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, he's checking there for what rank 4s he can bring out. I mean, what has he currently got that he can bring out?
He's got the Exciton Knight. He's got Black Ship of Corn, Rhapsody and Berserk, Diamond Direwolf, Abyss Dweller, Ragnar Zero, and 2 copies of Silent Honor Arc Knight. I really like 2 copies of Silent Honor Arc Knight. I was going over all the extra deck choices before the event, before I came out here, and every time I thought about taking my second Silent Honor Arc out of a deck's extra deck, the very next game that I would test it in, it would come into a situation where I needed that second Silent Honor Arc Knight. And you can't really go by one game at a time to think, oh, I need to put that back in. But when it keeps happening every single time, it stops being a pattern and starts being a problem. Traptrix Dianaya has been normal summoned, special summoning back Myrmileo. No opponent's card to destroy here. So the first thing that Shunsuke is going to do is exploit the 100 attack differential between Dianaya and Stygian Street Patrol and send it to the graveyard. Doesn't want to send Eris there yet because it will result in a search.
That's Black Ship of Corn.
Black Ship of Corn, main phase 2, activated. Send Eris to the graveyard. Let's go ahead and bring up Black Ship of Corn.
Just one moment, just updating that.
Sahabi's taken a look at it, and so will we. It has an effect that sends an opposing monster to the graveyard that has less attack points than it.
So it's not destroyed as such.
Correct. And then inflicts 1,000 damage.
We're just waiting for our tech team there just to update that.
$1,000 damage to Sahabi. Go ahead and bring up Archfiend Eris again, as he is currently searching for. Searches out Infernity Archfiend. Now the critical thing here is he knows that his opponent has Bottomless Trap Hole. So the trick is, can you special summon Infernity Archfiend twice, knowing that the first one's just going to get swallowed up? And with the Foolish Burial, he can, because he can send another Stygian Street Patrol to the graveyard. 2 more cards join Shunsuke's Bottomless Trap Hole and Artifact. And he's just doing everything he can to try to stop Sahabi's aggression. But normally when you see that on the other side of the field after a duel has been going so well for you, the first thought is, well, a lot of those cards were in his hand before. So he's probably just bluffing at this point, and you continue on.
Yeah.
But one of the ways that a good player can get you is if they happen to draw the Torrential Tribute or Mirror Force or whatever card can completely blow you out, they'll hurriedly set a bunch of cards that they weren't going to otherwise to make you think they don't have it. It also stops or reduces the odds of Mystical Space Typhoon hitting it.
Here's what Shunsuke has.
Great draw for Sehabi Kheireddine. That Forbidden Lance will let him do a lot of good. First things first. Banish the Stygian Street Patrol to summon Infernity Archfiend.
Just waiting for a response and
seeing if it's going to come. He really wants Shunsuke to use the bottomless trap hole right here. The tricky thing about trying to get your Archfiend summoned and protect it with Forbidden Lance is that you need the Lance set for a turn before you can do that. You can't just set it and flip it. It takes on the activation properties of a trap card. Can't play the turn you set.
Okay, I think he's let it slide.
Archfiend is in there. And then he normal summons the second one.
Waiting for a response.
Sometimes you just have to do it the hard way. Sahabi's probably thinking to himself, well, I'm just going to wait for his Succeed summon now. If you don't have the Solemn Warning or something, I don't know that you can take that chance, though, of getting completely blasted by Exciton Knight.
No,
no, he does have the effect failure, though.
Yeah.
That's right.
So he's ready for it. Well, that turn at least.
Sahabi's very carefully considering how wrong can this possibly go before I'm out of it, as he does have the Soul Charge in his hand as well, and a Foolish Burial that can send another target for it. The safest play would be to go straight for Exciton. And he makes the Xyz summon. And summons the Exciton Knight. Four cards in hand. 8 cards total between Shunsuke's hand and field. Effect is activated.
And there's Effect Veiler.
Veiler is chained. But if you're Shunsuke, you can't get too confident. Because remember, Forbidden Lance is also an attack-changing card. So he could use it to drop Black Ship of Khorne's attack too low to activate its ability.
That is true.
I don't know that I've ever seen it used that way, though.
It would definitely help. Let's just check out Black Ship of Khorne there.
It does have to be activated preemptively, though.
Could not be activated in chain?
I mean, you could do it, but it's the targeting. You have to target a monster that has attack less than Black Ship of the Khorne. When you resolve it, you just send it, whatever the monster is, rather than send that target. Two face-down cards.
He's just really doing anything to really try and get that Exciting Knight effect off, as it stands at the moment. But there is a double Cyclone right there set down, and an artifact big Altac.
Call of the Haunted activated on Traptrix Mirmaleo. That's going to take out one of the face-down cards.
And
the Infernity Break.
Yep, so that's been...
Don't be shocked if we see the double Cyclone right now to take out the other one before it has a chance to be used. quickly doing calculations. Shunsuke now considering how much damage can he do. Not wanting to give the Infernity duelist any further time to set up, because so far it looks like his combos aren't coming together either.
Now looking at it, he also still has Dioneer in his hand.
He does have the second one.
If he's going to be removing to try and destroy the Extant Knight, even if he stops that effect, he's going to be able to get Dioneer with Dioneer. And then he has another rank 4.
Which will bring the bottomless trap hole back as well, with the second Dioneer's effect.
Well, the bottomless trap hole is actually still on the field.
That's right, he didn't use it. But if Exciton Knight goes off, then it will be in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It's a tense moment. Struggling with his decision whether or not to flip the card. And he does it. Double Cyclone targeting Call, the Haunted, and the Face Down card.
Interesting.
Puts Myrmidon back into the graveyard to be revived again. And takes out the Forbidden Lance, which allows Black Ship of Corn to do its thing.
And he has just drawn another Myrmidon.
1,000 damage for Black Ship of Corn. Sahabi doesn't even have his Forbidden Lance to force through a Soul Charge play.
This is where Shunsuke is really turning it around.
Another Myrmidon is up next, and that's going to get his other trap hole from the deck, Traptrix Trapple Nightmare. And things have gone from bad to worse for Sahabi. Now, even if he could force through a Soul Charge play, Traptrix Trapple Nightmare could still stop an Archfiend or whatever other monster he summoned that activated its effect this turn.
Yep.
Myrmidon attacks directly for 1,600. Black Ship of Corn cannot, as it used its effect this turn, but it still contributed 1,000 damage by its effect. With its life points, and it's 4,300 to 2,200.
Now it's really evening up the score there. And what have he just drawn?
Soul Charge and Foolish Burial from before, and now he has a Mystical Space Typhoon.
Ooh, what's he going to hit?
Typhoon is activated against the card that he doesn't know the identity of.
I believe that might be that. Yep, there it is.
It is the artifact Begaltok. He doesn't go after either of the two trap holes. Audible sigh.
Yeah.
And Shunsuke waits until his opponent plays Foolish Burial to activate its effect.
I think we're just checking to see whether it's a mandatory effect or not.
Artifact Begaltok. When its set card is destroyed, sent to your graveyard, special summon it. It is mandatory.
Yeah, you have to have that on the field.
Gotta wonder why he didn't just activate it straight away.
Yeah. Now, it feels that the blind Mystical Space Typhoon was to try and attempt to hit the bottomless trap hole. I don't know whether he just forgot the positioning.
Yeah, I believe it's because did he set it on the same turn as the Begaltok? No, he did not. That's right, it was Begaltok, then bottomless trap hole,
So he may
then
have just
Traptrix
forgotten
trap hole. The other thing he could be going for is the fact that both of Artifact Begaltok's effects are mandatory.
So he has to destroy.
So he's still going to get one of those trap holes out of here.
Well, it's going to be Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to let a Soul Charge go through.
Absolutely. So here's the clever thing to do. If you're Sahabi and you know that bottomless trap hole is there, and you've got that Archfiend Heiress that has 1,000 attack points in your graveyard, you go ahead and send a level 3 monster, like Infernity Necromancer, that does not have as much.
Like that.
Now you can soul charge safely. Interesting thing will be to see how many of the Archfiends he brings back.
3?
So what you could do is leave one Archfiend in the graveyard to be summoned back by Necromancer now that you haven't got a hand.
He's summoning back one of the Archfiends just to see if he can get that Bottomless Trap Hole out of the way. If he does, then he can start actually XC summoning.
And that's the best thing for him.
He's going for 4.
He wants to force the Bottomless Trap Hole to come out at this point. So the great thing about this move, I really love this, is if he brings out one Archfiend, and it does get hit by Bottomless Trap Hole, you revive the other with Necromancer, set whatever cards you took out, and then you overlay your Necromancer with your Archfiend Heiress for Levier, and then get back the other one. Very smart play.
And he could definitely pull it back with that.
And the reason that you get back Dinotherium at this point as well is to make sure that there is no... or make sure that you see the Bottomless.
Yeah. And now
so that there is no rank 4.
DD Crow that got rid of an Archfiend.
We do see the Crow, however. And the effect is the same. One Archfiend's banished, one Archfiend's not. And I think Shunsuke has just realized that he's in deep trouble. Bobby taking a look at Infernity Necromancer. No normal summon yet this turn. And he takes the Necromancer. Now there's absolutely no question that other card is Bottomless Trap Hole.
Yeah. Okay, base overlay.
Rank 4 monster is next.
Ooh, he's thinking about exits tonight.
He's also looking at
101
in there. Also looking at 101. There are a lot of choices to make here, but he does need to remember he gets no battle phase this turn.
Diamond Direwolf?
Diamond Direwolf.
Interesting.
Still no Bottomless Trap Hole.
Well, there's definitely no Bottomless Trap Hole now.
Yeah, now it's in the graveyard.
Oh.
Necromancer's up next. Activates it for Archfiend. Archfiend goes ahead and searches out. I think this is where you start getting Launcher, yeah. So you're going to have Launcher first. And what Sahabi really needs to do, I mean, other than clear out those monsters from Shunsuke's side of the field, he needs to get to that Infernity Barrier. One break is gone from the deck. He plays 3 breaks total with the 1 Infernity Barrier. So you're not going to get quite as good of a turn as triple break and barrier like we saw earlier.
Still an amazing turn, though.
But if you clear that field and get the barrier set and 1 break, I think Sahabi wins the game. With only 2,200 life points left, there's not enough time left to stall out.
It depends, because there's a Dioneer. Dioneer gets negated. No, that's true. That is true. Is that a second Diamond Direwolf?
Nope. No. That's 2 level 3 monsters. Makes Levier.
Levier. Alright, so remove from play Archfiend and brings it back.
Archfiend returns and we're getting another search. This time he takes a break. He's about to overlay both of his Archfiends. And he's debating between Diamond Direwolf and Silent Honor Arc.
Silent Honor Arc would then get the Archfiend back into the graveyard as well and take his monster.
Wolf
no, he's going for the wolf.
Well. Detaches.
You do, however, end up with a monster at the end of it as well, with 101.
Yes, you do, with the protection effect to boot. Checks the graveyard. He's seen an Effect Veiler and a DD Crow. Launcher goes next. Takes a look at his Necromancer. And this is what you do. Is it basically you don't summon both Archfiends here because you'll only be able to search once?
Yeah.
You get Necromancer Archfiend, so you search one set of cards, summon the other, but search again. Second Infernity Break, and final one. That's 3. The other one's in the graveyard. Necromancer is next. Archfiend again. Infernity Barrier is the last one.
Just gone from nothing to an explosion of monsters. But that is Infernity.
That is Infernity. You do need to be careful, though, that you leave one attack position Infernity monster on the field, at least. I believe the important thing for Sahabi this time was to get the 2 breaks down.
Yeah.
And that's going to give him a way to clear out the monsters without needing to exceed summon, so you can leave both copies of Archfiend in play. It's an imposing field.
Now he's just drawn card D, which doesn't really help him at this point.
Yeah, you can't afford to skip your turn, basically. In fact, you don't even need to negate the card D if you don't want to.
Now here we go.
Dionea targets,
which is
Myrmidon.
More than likely to be negated by Infernity Barrier.
You're either negating it and getting rid of Dionea as well, or you're losing your Infernity Barrier to Myrmidon.
Because he knows where that is.
Barrier destroys Dionea along with it. And I don't think there's any hope of Shunsuke getting out of this one, since both of his monsters will be destroyed by the 2 Infernity breaks. And he's only got 2,200 life points left.
Let's see if he realizes that.
Well, even if he does realize it, there's always the chance that he's hoping Sahabi doesn't realize it and will make a mistake.
But to get all the way to the finals?
Not likely.
You don't get that by making mistakes.
And make no mistake, this one is over.
Wow.
Sehabi Kheireddine takes Duel 1, going second against Shunsuke Hiyama, whose deck really just doesn't get going. Despite the fact that he was able to get both trap holes into play, Sahabi played that absolutely excellently, doing everything he could to get those trap holes off the field. Even the mystical space typhoon that hit to be Galtok, even that wound up working in his favor because all, or rather both, of Beagle Attack's effects are mandatory.
Yeah.
And the only thing Shunsuke really got out of it was a monster that didn't do him a whole lot of good. It had a lot of defense points, but not a lot of Infernity break points.
He didn't have any or more level 5 monsters for his rank 5s.
No.
So he had something that had a large attack, well, a large defense, sorry, because it is 2004?
I think 2024.
Yeah. But, yeah, when it's getting destroyed by monster effects, that doesn't matter.
Not so useful.
Not so useful at all.
And the scary thing is, if you're Shunsuke Hiyama and you had DD Crow and Effect Veiler in your starting hand, and you resolved both, and they negated key cards of Sahabi, and he still came after you and won, that's got to make you a little bit worried. He's got another copy, a 3rd copy of DD Crow in his side deck, and also a 2nd copy of Effect Veiler as well. And I would be shocked if we don't see at least one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know how much space you're going to dedicate here to adding in more of those monsters to play from your hand, because the problem wasn't not being able to stop Sahabi's plays, it was not having any plays.
Now, we're going to see Fiendish Chain go in. Fiendish Chain, Trapstone. No, maybe not Trapstone. Vanity's Emptiness, and probably Spiritualism.
I kind of like Forbidden Chalice here as well. Forbidden Chalice was widely touted over the past couple months as a quick play. Well, it's a quick play spell, and you can play it from your hand during your own turn at any time, even during the early parts of the damage step to negate a monster effect. And it's a great way to deal with Artifact Moraltalk brought off Sanctum.
Yeah.
Or to stop your opponent from destroying too many of their own cards if they get off Begaltalk play with Sanctum.
And maybe Darkhold. But
I don't know about Darkhold.
Don't know about Darkhold.
Though Sahabi's going second, there is a chance that he's going to want that.
Just in case, yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah, definitely.
Not so much matchup dependent as am I going first or second dependent. And Darkhold's really done a lot of good for a lot of players today. Even if it was just something to send away for Summoner Monk.
Could you count your cards 15 face down so your opponent can see that you still have the same amount of cards?
And just doing some more little bits and bobs.
Vanity's Emptiness and Spiritualism, huh? Not bad. It seems better going first with Vanity's Emptiness, but going second, Spiritualism would be more useful.
Yeah.
And really, that's just a microcosm of a lot of the discussions that players around the world have been having pretty much non-stop for the last few weeks.
When do I play Spiritualism? When do I play
Spiritualism? When do I go first? When do I go second? How do I side deck based on that? Just something of note, the choice of whether to go first or second is made after you finish side decking and finish shuffling your deck, but before hands are drawn.
Right. You don't think he can respond.
So you, as the player who gets the choice for the next game, have all of the advantages in this case. That's why a 2-0 victory is one of the most difficult things to pull off.
We'll see if Sahabi can do it.
Would be a very impressive end to a very impressive tournament that he's had.
Also, one more thing, gentlemen, as a reminder, you need to be keeping a certain pace of play. I know but for you to get equal time to play.
Do you know offhand how many turns that match was? I was not counting.
I did not count, but
it didn't seem like a whole lot of them.
It felt like it was at about 5 or 6 turns before the game was over.
One of them was just a very long string of combos.
Yeah, but you never know. Sometimes you're doing so many combos that you can't remember if it's the same turn anymore.
Yeah, and the same thing happens sometimes when you watch a lot of combos. That's the glory of instant replay.
Yeah.
I'm really glad we have instant replay for this. Moving into the future.
It's like TiVo all over again.
I don't know that we can TiVo this, though.
Probably not.
I would want to, though.
Not on Twitch TV, anyway.
There will be an option to go back and watch this later, though.
Yes, there will be watch later. You can go onto the Yugioh, official Yugioh channel. I believe it's our Twitch channel. And you can watch back all of these videos.
And you might want to, because so far this has been a really excellent match.
Yes.
I might go back and watch this one myself.
I mean, if you had to suggest any match for anybody to go and watch, which one do you think?
I really liked our first round match yesterday. It was great to see Mermails and see that they could still do their things. And it was also great to see actually just how good Xinan Wang is.
Yeah.
He played it incredibly well, and he really showed the strength of Yugioh there as well. So that was, for me, that was one of the highlight matches of the weekend. That's probably the first one I'd go back to, given a choice.
Especially because it was the European champion versus the world champion.
Yeah, you've also got that.
We've got a Forbidden Lance, an Armageddon Knight, an Instant Fusion, I believe that's an Archfiend, and a Forbidden Chalice.
I think that's Chalice.
It doesn't look like Lance.
Yeah, you don't see the Lance in the corner. How nice is that Forbidden Item game mat, though?
I have
Battle
not
Pack
seen
3
it.
kits. You haven't seen it yet?
No.
You got to check that out when we're done here. It's gorgeous.
As far as I know, I don't think it's actually available in Europe so far.
Oh.
I do think it's US only.
Ooh. Shunsuke Hiyama starts off with a set solemn warning, which is destroyed by Mystical Space Typhoon.
Armageddon Knight.
Armageddon Knight's down next, and with no other cards on the field, the combos are on. Stygian Street Patrol is sent. 3 cards face down. Street Patrol is banished, or Infernity Archfiend.
You know where it all starts?
That's exactly how it all starts. Can we get a quick look at Shunsuke's hand?
Actually, not quite now. We're just having a couple of technical difficulties.
Well, the question that Sahabi is asking himself is, does he have those crows again? Are the crows and Veiler there? There's no Max C. Would have seen it by now.
Now, when we caught a glimpse at his hand earlier, no, I didn't see any of that, so...
It didn't look like it?
No. He has got his Card Trooper in there, which, as I said before, he has won a lot of his matches using.
The question is he going to make it to next turn?
And, well...
Sahabi had just an incredible hand for this situation.
This is the first attacking turn, isn't it?
This is the first attacking turn.
Oh, this is
Sahabi
not looking
5
good
cards.
for Shunsuke.
Shunsuke started with 5 cards. Sahabi 6. Instant Fusion, Infernity Launcher. Everything is coming up Canada in this one. Levier's next, detaching to special summon back Stygian Street Patrol. Stygian Street Patrol is on the field.
No judge there just coming in and saying, give your opponent a chance to say, no, I don't want to do anything. Which, of course, no, there isn't really anything he can do.
Yeah, we talked about last round, or the last thing you want to see happen in your final match is a string of monsters when you really just need a Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah.
I think I find something that is a little worse than that.
Setting a card, have it Mystical Space Typhoon, and then this happen.
And then this happening. And Sahabi now taking a look at his extra deck. He is running a pair of leveled out chains. It's looking like he's debating on whether to summon that next.
He's waiting for him to respond.
Shunsuke takes a lot of time, tries to make it seem like he has something when he really doesn't. And the second level out chain comes down and sends Archfiend to the graveyard. Nothing too fancy this time. He goes ahead and summons both copies of Infernity Archfiend. He's only going to get 1 search for that, though. He gets Barrier. And looking at the field, that is 5 1800 attack monsters.
Yeah.
Assuming all of this goes through, that will be it.
That's it.
5,000 plus 4,000 is 9,000 damage. Declaring attacks 1 at a time, just in case Gores decides to drop in and make a surprise appearance in the ring.
No, there really is nothing in hand that he can do. That's it.
And that is it.
And the world champion,
2 turns. Sehabi Kheireddine takes 1 turn and completely wipes out.
And that's it.
Shunsuke Hiyama in the second duel, taking the finals of the 2014 World Championship 2-0, bringing the trophy back home to Canada.
Yes.
Our neighbors north of the border. And I'm actually really happy for him because I thought he played excellently throughout that match.
I have actually got now what was in Shunsuke's hand, and it was Traptrix Dioneer, Card Trooper, Dark Hole, Artifact, Bealtac. And he could have played a monster. He just didn't.
Could have played a monster.
And that would have stopped 1 attack.
Or at least forced him to use a Diamond Direwolf and get some more special summon tricks.
Wow.
Anything to get another turn. Because with that Dark Hole in hand, getting another turn could have turned this whole thing around. I mean, he almost did it last time. After a slow start, he's able to get back into the game. But once again, Mystical Space Typhoon got it done.
Yeah.
For Sehabi Kheireddine, really in both matches.
Wow.
That first one